I'm Will Carr, and I'm here to fire you up. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Will Carr. This is the Will Carr Speaks podcast. I'm extremely excited to be here today. I have a very special guest that I'm excited to introduce. I have Coach Jake Ramos of Genesis Fighting Academy here in Colorado, one of the elite MMA fighting academies and coaches, not just here in Colorado, but across the country. And so I'm excited to talk to Jake about things as far as mindset with fighters, fundamentals as far as coaching fighters, the discipline, the work ethic, and just really dive into life and mindset and what it's like to run your business and coach these elite fighters. So
all the stuff I love to talk about.
Yeah, man, that's great.
What's going on, Will?
It's good to see you, man. So yeah, man, tell me how are things? How are things with business right now?
You know what? Things are great. Things are climbing. I really couldn't ask for anything better. I feel like I'm really sticking to the business goals and everything that I'd had planned out. Actually, I feel I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. But the way the business is climbing on the the professional side of it, and then it's also climbing on the fighter side of it, is just it's amazing. I love it. It's kind of surreal because there's a lot of them around me that don't do as well, and it's just I feel very blessed to be able to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, man. So you told me as we came in, obviously business is growing. You're opening up a whole new facility.
Absolutely.
Your last gym wasn't small.
No.
So tell me about the new place you got going.
The new place is, it's just about a mile and a half from the place that we have now. We've gotten to where we need to expand. There's just not enough room in the beautiful spot that we have now. It's time to expand. The fight team has gotten so big, and like I said, the professional and the member side of it has gotten so big that we're running out of mat space. We got things we need to add. I'm honestly thinking about adding a new ring because I've been so deep into the bare-knuckle side of it now.
Yeah.
That's
something I'm excited to ask you about.
It's a time. It's just time to evolve, and that's kind of one thing I like to do. I don't like everything all at first.
Yeah.
Let's evolve. Let's see new stuff. Let's add this. Let's add that. Just keeps everybody interested. You know. So they see the evolvement, they see the build up.
Yeah.
So,
well, I originally planned to kind of start asking you initially about kind of how it came to be and you got into this MMA. But since you already mentioned the bare-knuckle, that's something I really wanted to talk to you about because that's a growing segment of MMA. People really are loving it, man.
Absolutely,
because it's real fun. Like the gloves have literally come off.
They have literally come off, and it's gritty. You know what I'm saying? It's gritty. It's like the last bare-knuckle fight that I just had was out in Rome. And it was in a Coliseum. It wasn't in the Coliseum, but it was in a Coliseum.
Wow.
That, it had 35,000 people there.
Yeah.
So, you go back to the place where it all started is just amazing. And from what I hear, eventually next summer, they want to have it in the Coliseum.
Whoa.
Which, I've won a lot of world titles. I've seen a lot of good fights, and then nothing conquers that.
No.
That's where it began. Well, how could you not want to fight in there?
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
let me know how when that starts transpiring, I might be flying to Rome with you. Let's go watch the Coliseum.
You know what?
Man.
I think that plane's going to be full with people heading out there.
Let's go. Might as well charter our own plane at that point.
Oh man, it gives me chills talking about it,
That's cool. Well, and let's talk about that because you have some of the best. You've got some great fighters doing, obviously, if you're flying out to Rome. And
absolutely.
And so let's talk about some of your fighters and how they're doing. This bare knuckle is a start, it's really just starting to grow and pop off.
It absolutely is. It's just starting to grow. And the crazy thing is it's getting just as many pay-per-view buys as the UFC does. Just a little under, but for as young as the BKFC is, it's amazing where they're at now. I will credit to, they have a lot more to work off of than the UFC did when they first started.
Yeah.
But I got, what do I have? I've got 5-6 top ranked bare knuckle fighters in the world in the gym. I've got a female world champ. I still, as far as I'm concerned, have a male world champ, but the last time we were out in Rome, it was definitely a robbery, man. It was real sad. And you know what, losing's losing, but when you get robbed, there's nothing worse,
especially
when they take you of your real title.
Yeah. You want to talk about that, who that fighter was, and talk about that fight a little?
So that one was Chris Camozzi. He was my 205 champion. We had defended the belt earlier this year in March out in Florence. So this was twice we'd been out in Italy this year fighting. Fought a tough dude out there. Played that sport. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Calcio Historico. And it's only in Florence. And it's pretty much soccer with an all-out fist fight.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's bare knuckle.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's dirty. You know, it's a crazy sport. So we fought a tough dude.
Yeah.
Went out there, you know, handled business and did great. Came out here to Rome and ended up fighting like the Rome's guy. Like, this is their savior when it comes to fighting, Alessio Sakara. So ended up fighting him, and really, you know, I feel we put it all over him. It wasn't even close. I did give him 2 rounds originally at the beginning, but I've watched it a few times since then. I can't see anywhere where I can give him any rounds.
Right.
And you know what? They ended up taking the title from him that night to give it to Alessio. So I don't know what's going to happen with that in the future. We definitely wanted that rematch, but I've heard he's retired. So, you know, he grabbed that belt and ran.
Yeah.
You know,
so he got it, and now he doesn't want to defend it. Come on.
So, you know, that's his way out, you know, see it, you know, you got the belt, see you later. And I kind of feel that's what happened. I think they wanted to give him that, you know, I'm not sure, you know, but, there's just a few things that had happened leading up to that fight. And, you know, as you see it play out at the end now, you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, that spot makes sense now. And oh, that spot makes sense. But you know, I can't prove nothing, but it was pretty bad.
Right.
I was so proud of my guy though, man.
Yeah.
So proud of my guy.
Well, man, I mean, how can you not be proud of anyone that's willing to get into a ring with nothing but their fists and fight someone?
Man, and I'll tell you, it's to watch, because they always have like this tent set up with all the stitchers and doctors and this and that. Let me tell you, that tent is packed.
Yeah.
Through the whole night. And
yeah.
I mean, it's guaranteed whether you win or not, you're coming out with something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and crazy thing is, my boy Chris ended up losing his front 2 teeth that fight.
Oh.
Yeah, it was between rounds 4 and 5, and it was honestly, I feel, the only time he got hit.
Yeah,
and it just happened to catch him right in the mouth perfectly.
Oof.
And you know, he comes back to the corner and hands me one of the teeth, and then the one that was still stuck in was his fake tooth that he already had in there. So it was stuck backwards. So that last round, he couldn't really bite down on his mouthpiece because that tooth was sitting back. He couldn't.
Oh.
So he was just holding his mouth open the whole time and still went out there and handled business in that 5th round. You know, so, you know, that's that warrior spirit that, you know, it's amazing to see in person, especially.
Totally. Well, let's talk about that warrior spirit, man, because I'm an athlete. I played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've done some boxing classes with you, which has been a blast. I love coming in and doing your workouts.
Mm-hmm.
But to get into a ring with another man, bare knuckles, ready to fight each other. I mean, not to the death, but essentially, I feel like your mindset has to be, when you go into a fight like that, you essentially feel like you are fighting to the death.
Well, whether you know or not, there's an addendum in that contract, that every contract that they sign, from the UFC to Bellator to PFL to the bare-knuckle, that there's a chance you can lose your life in there.
Yeah.
So you got to sign that away. So, I mean, there is that chance.
There's that
chance. It's not something you ever want to see, or I never want to see, but, you know, we've all read about it. We've all heard about it.
Right.
And it's happened in the past.
Yeah.
You know, so, but, to go in there and face somebody that really wants to hurt you.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing. And to keep that mindset is, you know, it's a fun thing to watch it kind of happen, break down through the camp, because, you know, a camp, you know, is getting ready for the fight is what we call a camp. And it's about 12 weeks, depending. Okay. Sometimes we can have a 14-week camp. They're long ones, but the way the mentality is, and then it shoots high, and then that self-doubt sets in again. And just to watch it happen, and then, you know, there's a little bit of doubt, and then it's gone. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we move on a little bit later in the camp, a little bit of doubt again, and then it's gone. And then they get to the fight, and then, I mean, I don't want to say their eyes go hollow, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
They're locked in. They're in a zone. It's pretty much what I tell everybody. You couldn't be any more present ever in your life than you are in that very moment.
Oh, I can't imagine.
If you allow it to work the way it's supposed to work, you are like, you can feel everything.
Yeah.
You can hear everything. You are just zoned in, like like a super soldier almost.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what they do with those guys. You know, is get that mind, just they're beating them with just the mind. They don't even have to get physical with them half the time.
Right. So would you say as a coach then, I mean, obviously you're training your guys on fighting, you're doing physical conditioning, you're working on skills in the ring, but I mean, it would seem to me that your job as a coach is almost, I would say, more than 50% coaching them mentally.
Absolutely. You know, I pretty much say it's 50% trainer, 50% psychiatrist, and 50% mental coach.
Yeah.
You know, so it's everything. It's definitely everything. Some of those guys that, you know, you got to work on other spots harder than other spots, but every guy has their spot that you need to work on, you know, and make sure that it stays right and tight. You know, that is definitely my job, not to just sit there and hold mitts or tell you to get up off your back or jab more or things like that. It's to come up with that game plan, make sure you 100% trust it and 100% trust yourself to do it. Because when you go out there and you have that 100% trust, that's where that mental comes from. Any doubt whatsoever, it's amazing how quickly that door opens and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, way faster than it does with the positive mental.
Totally.
So it is. Yeah. So I'm pretty much got to cover it all. You know, we've even gotten to where we're bringing a mental sports coach into the gym now as well. So, you know, my wife does a lot of that as well.
I can believe that. For sure.
She does a lot of the breathing with the guys, and you know, the ladies love her as well. The lady fighters, because they can really connect with her when it comes to that, as you know, me.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get me wrong. I got great relationships with all my fighters, but it's different. A girl, you know, can feel more comfortable with the girl.
Yeah. Well, you know? And Amanda's so personal and
she absolutely is,
and knowledgeable about these types of things. So I can only imagine that the fighters love having her in and having more even that, because sometimes it's probably nice to have that like softer feminine energy in there as well.
Man, what she's done for the
she's
gym,
tough too, but
don't
to have that softer,
twice, you know. But I mean, to keep this big boy in shape, she does what she needs to do. But you know, she's brought I feel a side to a combat gym that in every combat gym that I've ever been in the world doesn't have this vibe. It's that femininity vibe to where it's actually comfortable in there. She's added tons of plants. Like I said, she's got her wellness that she does in there as well. Like she just brings that different energy than man energy. Yeah. You know, so I feel that's really what helps with the member side of it as opposed to the fight team. Yeah. It's like, cause she's the first person they see when she walks in. She's the last person they see when she walks out or when they walk out, and you know, they love it. Yeah. So she's always got them smiling. Yeah.
Would you say from a business standpoint that the majority of your actual revenue comes from more the membership side?
That's really all it comes from. Yeah. You know, fighters they're great. You know, what they bring, they're really my advertising tool. You know, that's what they kind of bring to the gym. They bring, you know, recognition to the gym, but you know, everybody wants to train where they see the fighters train that they see on TV. Yeah. And that's kind of how that works. I mean, they all have their little due that they pay, but man, these guys are barely making it. Yeah. You know, they're just scrimping by. Totally. If anything, you know, even the ones you see on TV are they're barely making it. Yeah. It's not what you know, what I want to say, society makes it seem like they're rich, this, and that's not it at all. They're struggling. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's crazy, and it's fun to work with all sides of the fighter for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. The one thing I wanted to ask, because you have world-class male and female fighters. Yep. How, as a coach, do you approach it, and maybe the answer is that you don't approach it differently. But how do you approach a female fighter versus a male fighter? What are some of the differences that you see between the sport as far as like a female fighter and a male fighter? Are there many differences that you see?
There's not many. There's not many at all, because, you know, when they have that fighter spirit, that fighter heart, that fighter mind, they're tough. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I feel sometimes it's made, but most of the time you're born with it. Yep. You know, but, I definitely do approach the male and female fighter differently. Mm-hmm. And me having a daughter like yourself, you understand the emotional part
Yeah.
of the fighter. You know, I guess when it comes to the guys, I don't get into it as much. I'm like, suck it up, get your butt back out there, get training. You're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You know, and the female
Smack
fighters, I'm like,
yourself a
oh,
couple
come on,
times.
come in the office. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's do this and let's do that. You know, I still talk to the male fighters, but the female side has a emotional point or a part that you need to attend to for sure.
Totally.
Because it's 10 times worse than a male's.
Yeah.
And when it starts to spiral out of control, it's bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot worse. So they're a lot harder on themselves. It's crazy. So I do approach it differently. They're very, very different. Very much so. So
yeah, I can definitely see that and would think that would be the case, you know,
absolutely. And that's why I feel I have the biggest, you know, girls team in Colorado is because of the way that they're taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, I still got to be a coach at the end of the day, but they're comfortable around me.
Yep.
They feel safe around me, which is crazy as well. But, you know, they just know that they're going to be okay at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. No,
it's fun. I actually love it. And to have a female world champion, which I've never had before, never even dreamt about, honestly, it's amazing, you know? So, but they're two different caterings for sure.
Now, do the women do the bare knuckle as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know,
is that what your world champion?
It is.
She's a bare knuckle.
Yep,
and who's she?
Her name is Courtney Cameron.
Okay.
She fights for BKB, and she is their 130-pound champ. And then we just fought for the 135 title. No, I'm sorry. Let me reverse that. We're the 140-pound champ. We just fought for the 145-pound title. And then we're another one I felt we were robbed. It was a good fight. Great fight. I'm not going to say it wasn't. You know, but I felt the girl was really beat up and my girl didn't have anything wrong with her, you know? So, but, and then, you know, so we're going to defend our title and then I feel we're going to go down and maybe grab that 35
grab
title.
Another.
Yeah. That's to have a 2-time world champion bare knuckle fighter is the first thing ever.
Okay.
When it comes to this sport. So it's really a goal of mine.
Yeah.
It keeps my drive. You know, I love to win. I love to do this and that. But man, looking up on the wall and seeing these titles hanging on the wall and stuff like that, that's where you're like, that was a lot of work to get those.
Yeah.
You know, that's best in the world type stuff right there.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, you're a man of many goals. I mean, you're a man, obviously you are good at setting goals and working towards them. How much of that goes into your training to help your athletes set their own goals and set their own sights? Do you feel like most of them coming in already have that warrior spirit and they're already good at that? Or is that something that you really have to coach and help them through?
You know, they definitely come into the gym having their goals in mind and pretty decent at it. But there's certain goals that I don't feel we need to eliminate, but then you got to set them aside and focus on these, you know, what do I want to say? 2-year goals, 1-year goals, as opposed to this 12-year goal.
Right.
Because, you know, that builds up.
You don't start as a world champion.
Yeah, exactly right. So, you know, going after those goals is definitely very much so, very important. But what I personally try to keep my goals out of what I teach my fighters.
Okay.
Because what I feel what it does is it gets me making the fight team, making the fighters about me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of coaches out there that do just that.
Make it about themselves.
Make it about them. They get a little name, they get a little, you know, recognition, and all of a sudden it's all about them.
Yeah.
When really there is no me, there is no promotion, there is no fight show, there is no managers and stuff like that without the fighter.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's really what's been forgotten lately.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, they definitely come in, they have their goals, they're very good at it, and that's the reason why they're able to do what they do. But I do try to keep my goals. I let it use it for my drive.
Yeah.
But I don't like to involve my goals with their goals. Yeah. Because it ain't about me.
Well, and how do you keep that separate? Because obviously you have your goals for your own professional career as a coach, for your business, you know, as you're training these fighters, but then you're also trying to put their goals first and recognize that none of your goals could even be attained without them being able to achieve their goals. How do you keep that separate?
Just recognizing what are my goals. Yeah. There'll be some times where I might have gotten a little hyped up in a fight or a little hyped up at training or something like that. And I go back and I look at that and was why did I get so mad in that moment? It's because I was looking at my own goal, not the fighter's goal.
Right.
So brings something out in you when it's not right. Does that make sense? When it's not their goal, it brings out the wrong person, the wrong trainer. When it's their goal, sometimes your goals are the same goal. Yeah. But more times than not, my goals, just from being in the sport so long, are totally different what the fighter's goal is. Yeah. So, but, there is goal setting. After every fight, we sit down, we come up with what is our next game plan. What's the goal for this? So yeah, no, the goals are definitely big, but main thing is I definitely try to keep mine out of there. Yeah, for sure. No, and that makes sense. And one thing I know about you, Jake, is that you really care about your fighters. Absolutely. Like right. I don't know, a bunch of fighting coaches. But I know you. And so I know that you really, when you talk about putting them first, I know that you mean that from your core and your heart. Absolutely right. That's, when I feel it's the reason why I'm where I'm at. It's starting to be seen that it's that way. Fighters walk in the gym. Money isn't the first thing we talk about. Yeah. We get to know each other a little bit. We get on the mitts. We let them do practice for a little while, let them get comfortable. And honestly, money is not the main thing that I ever talk about. Yeah. I know what's going to be made, and that's all I need to know. We don't need to sit down and talk about it. Right. Because you know what money does. Yeah. You know what money does, and it can ruin a lot of stuff. Yeah. So, but if you play it right, you be a good person, it's all there. Yeah. It all comes together. Really does, So, but yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. One thing I'd like to ask you is, because I feel like fighting is such a different sport. Like I'm a basketball player. I know what it means to get in a flow state. To get in that flow, you're 100% focused. After playing basketball, I spent several years as a licensed skydiver. So I have over 80 skydives. Okay. Dang. And that's another, talk about that eventually. Yeah, okay, man, we will. We should get into it. At some point, I'm going to get back into it. I'm about to turn 50. Older. I think that would be cool to do for my 50th. Let's go, man. Yeah, hey, let's talk about that. Yeah. All right. But when you're jumping out of a plane, you get into that flow state. Yeah. It is like you are falling through the sky at 100 plus miles an hour. And I think terminal velocity is around 180. But, and that also depends on your body weight and your shape and dynamics. Gotcha. But so I guess where I'm going with this is I recognize from my own experiences what it means to get into a flow state and really be focused. But from a fighter's standpoint, there's something that is beyond anything. As much as I love basketball, there's something that is much further beyond when you are really when you are fighting someone in a ring where you can seriously get hurt. Yes. In basketball, you see the guys flopping and stuff. But I mean, I've seen some pretty nasty injuries as well. Yeah. I mean, there's things that can happen. Things can happen. For sure. But that mindset that you have to get into is so radically different when you're fighting. And so one question that I have for you is what makes a fighter an elite fighter? Earlier you said something like you're born with it. A lot of it to agree. But what is the difference between that elite fighter and someone that can really get in and become a world champion versus someone who might get into fighting and 6 weeks later is like, this isn't for me? Like, what's the difference? Like, man, you know what? There could be so many differences when it comes to an elite fighter and a world champion, because I mean, you really look at what a world champion is. It is an elite fighter. Yeah. This guy could have had a horrible upset loss to, somebody, let's just say somebody, and this guy happened to not, and they're both the same level fighter. This guy happened to beat this guy, but this guy is now the world champion. So there's so many different things that can happen on the path that can make the difference between you being a world champion and just number two. Yeah. So many different things can happen. I mean, it can come from lifestyle, is family stress, to maybe he got sick during camp, there's just so many variables when it comes to how this person became world champion and this one did not, but they're the exact same level. One even beat the other, Yeah. So, I got to say there is a touch of touch of luck, touch of divineness, I should say, that makes that difference, you know? So maybe he turned left down the street when he was supposed to turn right one day. And that's all the difference. That's all it makes to make that difference between those two guys.
Yeah.
So those guys are there. I mean, anybody in the top 20, they're world champion material.
Right.
They really are. There's just very minute things that are separating them from everybody else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
what are those minute things though?
Like I said, those factors, it could be someone's having a stressful family, or their diet isn't just right, or maybe one likes to tilt a little couple of drinks back every night, one missed practice one time a week, every week. You know, it's just, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that little thing right there makes that difference between that world champion and the one that's second place.
Yeah. And that's interesting to me because you think so many people are talented, like we can get to high levels of accomplishment, but when you get to that point, it's those tiny little things you're fine tuning that make all the difference.
Absolutely. Those are the difference.
It's that extra 1% that makes 100% of the difference.
Absolutely.
Because you have that foundation, you have that, but who's that one guy that's doing the little bit of extra things, a little bit more focused, a little bit more dialed in on their training or their diet or what they're not consuming.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And, you know, once again, it comes down to the mental.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one guy had one more self-doubt thought before he got in that cage than the other guy. I mean, it's so minute when it comes to that. And that's what's crazy is, you know, people they think there's a huge difference when it comes to that. There's not. Yeah. There's not. In this fight game, you could lose any day to anybody. You know, it doesn't matter if he's number 50 and you're number 1. You slip left when you should have rolled left. It's a knockout.
Right.
You know,
I think that's what makes it so exciting to watch.
That's exactly
you never know. There might be a favorite, but you really don't know who's going to win.
Absolutely. You don't know who's going to win. That's what I do love about this. I mean, basketball, I love it, but you know, there's teams that play other teams where you're like, bro,
they're going to win.
Yeah, come on. I don't even want to go to the game, you know? But, you know, you never know. You never know who's going to win. Like the guy fighting tonight in the UFC, Merab, guy's an absolute machine, but so's Peter Yan. Yeah. You know, we'll see if, you know, one trained harder or one had a different thought or anything like that. So they're both machines. They're both some bad dudes, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know? So.
And that's another interesting parallel between fighting and other sports. It's like in basketball, the Nuggets might lose the game, but then 2 days later they have another game.
Yes, absolutely.
In fighting, you might have 2-3 fights in a year at most sometimes.
Or you might have 2 years off between fights, you know, and to keep your training going through all that, that's a whole nother mindset as well. Yeah. You know, and that's where I guess my job really starts to set in, like just keeping it going, making sure we're keeping his faith up, keeping his, keeping him encouraged to keep going because the fight is going to happen. Yeah. You know, so that's just, I guess that's kind of where I have to step up a little bit as well, is just to make sure that it's going to happen. You're not the only one. Yeah. You're not the only guy that's had to go through this. Yep. You know, so.
And because from a mental standpoint too, like when I lose a basketball game, I know I'm thinking about the game 2-3 days later.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're a fighter, you're going into that knowing if I don't win this, it's going to be another year or something before I get another shot.
Absolutely.
Or like if I don't win the title now, or I don't get the belt now, I might never get the opportunity to go after it again.
Absolutely right. That's all it takes. One loss and then you're back 5 steps. Yeah. You know, but I love, the basketball, I love all the team sports, but when is that heavy loss or that heavy weight, there's your whole team to help you carry that a little bit. Yes, we have a team in MMA, but I sure as hell ain't going in that cage with them. Yeah. It's them all by themselves, so, and at the end of the day, that's all the world sees when the camera's on them is them and all by themselves. Yeah. So there's a lot of like when there's a loss. I mean, the social media, man, these people are mean out there, man. Yeah. They're mean. And when they have a loss, and I try to tell my guys, stay the heck off of that and quit reading damn comments. Yeah. It's because, most of those comments coming out there, guy doesn't have a clue what the heck he's doing anyways. But he is reading that and it's getting into his head and it's just crushing their spirits, and it's just them. It's kind of sad to see what happens to these guys after a loss.
Yeah.
The whole world can love him on a big hype train, this and that. One loss, and everybody's like, oh, man, see, I knew it. He was never nothing. He was just this, just that, short-lived. It's just crazy how quickly people turn on you.
Yeah. Well, and you don't get the opportunity, like in a sport like basketball, maybe you missed that game-winning buzzer beater 3.
Yeah.
You're getting an opportunity, and maybe people are hating on you for a day or two.
Yes.
But then you have that game 2-3 days later, and you crush it. You go out and get a double-double, whatever.
And they forget all about it.
And they forget all about the game that you messed up. In fighting, people are going to hold you to that for the next year until you get another shot.
Absolutely.
And I've never thought about this before, so it's interesting talking about it right now, because from a mental standpoint, as an athlete, I feel like so much of me being an athlete prepared me for life where I'm at now, whether being a father, business owner, entrepreneur, being able to have that mindset is like, okay, I failed. I picked myself up. I'm ready to fight again tomorrow.
Yeah.
But when you're a fighter, MMA, bare knuckle, you have to hold that to such a stronger degree because you're not getting the opportunities for a long time. Like you can go into the gym next day and be ready, but no one's going to see that. Yeah, no one sees you training in the gym for the next year.
Exactly right. Exactly right. They always, he was so out of shape, this and that. You didn't see this guy just had 16 weeks of camp. Yeah. He's not out of shape. It's the fight game.
Yeah.
It's the fight game. It gets you, you know, but yeah, you're exactly right. You just got to, I don't know. We were kind of have a focus for this cast today, and it was about that mental and that mindset. Yeah. That's really where it comes down. Like you got to believe, and you got to believe in yourself, and you can't really think about what anybody else says because everybody's got an opinion. Right. Everybody's got one, you know, so especially about fighting. Right. Because everybody's done it, you know. But it's just funny that way, you know. Yeah. But sometimes they got to sit on that loss for a year and a half while people just run them through the ringer about this and that, you know. And they could have had a heck of a performance too, you know. So,
do you see a wide range of how fighters react to that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think the difference is for the fighter that is able to handle it better versus the fighter who takes it so much harder?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess it could be the point of where they're actually at in their career might be the actual answer to that. I feel someone that actually takes that really hard and takes it to heart is that one that's still climbing, wants to get there, wants to be seen, wants his name out there, and wants nothing but goodness under his name, as opposed to the one that's already been there, it's doing it, is there, and understands that, you know, it doesn't matter what they say because I'm here, you're not. Yeah. You know, so I would kind of feel it's probably where they're at in their career. Yeah. So, you know, it can be very detrimental sometimes, and sometimes it don't matter because you're already there. You know, people don't see that. So that's kind of how I feel I would answer that one. Yeah. So just different spots and where they're at.
And I would imagine the support group that people have around them.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and sadly, a lot of fighters don't have that. Yeah. That's why they fight. So that's why we've built the camaraderie that we have in the gym. It's very much so family based. Yep. Every single one of my fighters can bring their kids to practice, and we're watching them. I'll hold them while they're sparring, you know, and I'm walking around coaching still. Yeah. But, you know, we are very much so family based, and you have to have a support system. Let me tell you, fighting's tough. Yeah. People are rough. Yep. You know, so, just to be able to make sure that the people don't influence what they really are is what we try to build in that gym. Yeah. You know, be yourself, be your person, and who cares what anybody else thinks, you know?
Yeah. Do you notice a difference in the mindset or the way that guys will handle the mental aspects of fighting? Is there a difference between the guys that have like their own children and families versus the guys that are completely single with no responsibilities?
No, they both have their set of worries, and that both brings these particular, I don't know, mindsets out. Yeah. And, you know, one that's set, has kids, has a family, is really working hard to make sure that his family's good, because we were talking about you may not get a paycheck for 2 years.
Right.
And, so there's that type of mindset when it comes to a fighter that has a family. But then there's also the mindset of the fighter that's working his way up. He's almost homeless. He's barely making it. He can't pay his bills. He can't even get gas money to make it to the gym, things like that, to where it's giving him that separate drive. You see what I'm saying? So they're same goal oriented, but two totally different things that are creating that same drive. Makes sense? But and it, as good as it is for the good effect, it's the same on the opposite bad effect. Yeah. Oh man, I'm not being able to support my family, or oh man, I can't pay my bills now. And that's the stress that will make you lose a fight. Yeah. Because you're not in the fight. You're only worried about something else after the fight. So
how many of these guys are having to work other jobs? I feel like probably more than half.
Yeah. 75% of them for sure.
Yeah.
75%. And I mean, my world champion, Chris Camozzi, he still works. And he gets great paychecks. It's not like he doesn't, but he still works.
What's he doing?
He's a real estate agent. So
awesome.
He actually just found our building of the one that we're moving into. So,
cool.
It's kind of cool. It's all in-house.
Yeah.
I like doing it that way.
Yeah.
So, but, he's even still working, So, I mean, the world's rough out there right now.
Yeah.
And it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Totally.
And
I feel like that's something that's so different for fighters than other professional sports, because you look at some of these elite fighters, and you mentioned earlier, people think they've made it, they're rich or something because they're there, but they're having to work these other jobs. How do you feel like that could potentially, because it's not that the UFC's not making a ton of money.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
It's not that, these, what's the new organization does the bare-knuckle?
BKFC.
The BKFC.
And then you got the BKB.
And the BKB. It's not that they're not making money or well-funded.
That's right.
So why, I'll kind of leave this a fairly open-ended question. Why is there such a gap there, and how could it be filled?
Such a gap in like money?
Yes, for the fighters. So like the NBA, for example, makes a ton of money, but the NBA players are all
there's
making
a certain
good
percentage
money.
That the NBA players have to get out of that money, correct?
Right.
That's kind of like what the UFC is going through right now. Is there was a big lawsuit. A lot of the, the original UFC fighters and, the guys in the early 2000s all got together and filed a lawsuit. Because, the UFC was staking so much of the money, and the fighters were getting like less than 10% of the money that was being made. Less than 10%.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Come on. And the only reason the UFC is making that money is because of these fighters.
Right.
And that's another, like I said, once again, forgot who's the important one.
Yeah.
But, there's that big lawsuit, and Chris actually, he just got himself a nice little lump sum. A lot of these fighters are getting a paycheck now when they could really, really use it, because it's money they earned to begin with. It was just, I don't want to say taken from them, but it wasn't rightfully given. But now it is. And a lot of these guys are getting their money back. And so I'm hoping with what this has happened, it's going to close that gap, because I personally feel there should be laws made to where there is a certain percentage that the fighters should get. Yeah. Every single fighter. Right. I understand you got to fight to get more, but every fighter should be getting taken care of.
Totally.
There's not a UFC fighter, local promotions, other shows, fine, but not a UFC fighter should never have to work anymore.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's a level. That's like, I guess, professional basketball player having to work still. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Once you're a pro, you're making
any other sport.
That's
it's
right.
Not
only
basketball,
in MMA or
the
combat
MLB,
sports.
Hockey.
Absolutely.
None of these major professional sports leagues or any of these guys
working's over.
Having to do any other job. They're
Absolutely.
able to just focus on being a basketball player, being a baseball player, skating on the ice, and whatever it may be. But that's not the case in fighting, which I just find that so interesting, because these guys are, they are putting themselves on the line more than anyone.
They absolutely are. And a lot of these guys have rough labor jobs.
Yeah.
So it's, they either get to come in on their lunch break, spar, get beat somebody up and go back to work, or they come in after a grueling 10-hour day of working their butts off, and now they got to focus in on not being tired for their workout.
Yeah.
So it's one thing working out. It's another thing when you're working out and you're in camp and you have a fight.
Yeah.
Like, you got to come in correct. You got to come make sure you're not just working out.
Totally.
So it's I'm hoping things change from that, you know, and
Yeah.
I feel if there's certain things that, you know, if they learn from what's happened in the UFC, there's ways to keep everybody happy. I mean, come on, everybody can eat, you know, not just certain people. It's not how this works.
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully that ends up working itself out in the future for sure.
What do you see with the fighters as far as like things they're doing to recover that you wouldn't have maybe seen 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Oh man, that's what's definitely evolved big time in the sport is the recoveries, the active recoveries, you know, the wellness places that you can go to now, you know, I mean, all the CBD products, all just stuff that just wasn't there 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, and honestly, all these fighters are sponsored by somebody that's in wellness, or they have a certain company that's taking care of them that do red light therapy, massages, stretching, and all this and that, you know, thank God that those are easy sponsors for the fighters to get, so they can at least take care of their body. But yeah, I mean, the stuff has come so far, you know, just like the peptides and all this and that, and how how well they can actually regulate the TRT. Right. You know, what people don't realize is TRT is not illegal. It's how you use it is what makes it illegal. Tell
me the difference in that.
So, you know, us as a grown, you know, me being a grown 50-year-old adult, I'm supposed to be right around 400. Yeah. When I went and had my testosterone checked, I was sitting at like 60. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I was depleted. I had no energy, had nothing. And now I'm back to where my numbers are right about 400, which is natural. So that's the difference, bringing your numbers back to naturalness as opposed to spiking your numbers, let's say, you know, you're supposed exactly right, becoming animalistic type stuff, you know. So there is ways you can use it. You just need to use it correctly. Interesting. Makes sense? Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is legal. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not, don't get me wrong. Right. Peptides and things like that. But certain stuff is legal. It's just, it's how you maintain it and use it to that, you know, that keeps it legal, I should say.
So the peptides, are you saying they are or not legal within the sport?
They're not legal. Okay. They're not. They're
is that something they can test for?
There is, which is crazy. It's a new test that's come out. Huh. So I don't know. It's a blood test for sure, but it's definitely ways that they can test for certain types of peptides, because I mean, it's definitely, I'll tell you, it's almost, I feel like the fountain of youth. I get peptides quite a bit. It's the only thing that's keeping my shoulders in place and my hands good and elbows doing all right, because I mean, they get beat down every day. Yeah. And if it wasn't for, and I'll tell you this, if my levels of testosterone weren't where they were supposed to be, I wouldn't be training anymore. Right. I'd probably be like in a nursing home somewhere, depleted and half dead. Yeah. Because that's what was starting to happen, is I had nothing to replenish. I had nothing to fix or anything. I was just going down and down and down and down. So,
well, with something like peptides that I would say have a relatively zero negative effect on your body.
Zero negative effect.
Would you say that that's something you wish fighters were allowed to use in order for recovery?
Absolutely right. Yeah. Absolutely right. It would help with fighters having to pull out. It would keep cards going. It would keep fighters healthier. Like, you know, there's a lot of promotions that struggle because fighters are not healthy. Yeah. You know, so this kind of helps with that. Why wouldn't you want the fighter to be healthy?
Because it's something so different than using excess amounts of steroids to make your testosterone insanely high.
Absolutely.
They give you an unfair advantage.
And really, it's only hurting your body that way. Yeah. You know, so.
Versus being able to use peptides to recover properly. And if everyone could use them, it's not an unfair.
It's not. Absolutely right. And I guess you know, what makes it unfair is there is still those certain amount of fighters out there that just can't afford it, or they don't have the sponsor. So, I mean, I do understand that, but you know, put your guidelines on it, put your stipulations, put your rules on it, but allow it. Yeah. You know, because it's, I mean, it is good for the body. Our body has it naturally. Our bodies are full of peptides. Yeah. And all it does is just reactivate those. So, you know, you get beat down, that shit stops working after a while, man, you know?
Yeah.
So
what about things like, I had a guest on several weeks ago that we talked a lot about methylene blue, because he's an internal medicine doctor, has a methylene blue company. And one of the first people who really introduced me to methylene blue was your wife.
Yes.
And so I know that that's something that you all use. Is that something you see with your fighters?
You know what? It's actually something we don't use much anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say that it was doing anything negative to us.
Yeah.
But it was something I felt that we didn't need.
Mm.
You make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not downing it. I know it has its good effects. It's good for you. It has certain things but I do feel it is something that you can take too much of.
Yeah.
Take too much of. And I personally myself was not feeling right after taking it. I was having mental blocks. I was having fatigue. I was having this and that. And I was just feeling it was because my body didn't need it.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I know it's good. I feel maybe for the 60 and up, 75 and up, that stuff's great because it keeps that brain better. It keeps it firing. It keeps all those neural pathways and stuff going, you know, but I have nothing against it. We don't use it much anymore at all. Yeah. So we have, I have all the, you know, the mushroom vitamins and all that stuff that I take now that my wife has me on that has me feeling amazing.
Yeah.
You know, amazing. And, you know, first, of course, getting the correct supplements, not the stuff that's always over the counter or anything like that. So, but, we haven't used much of that methylene blue at all.
Interesting.
So, we did for a little bit, but, we've kind of just stepped back away from that a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So much more focused on things like TRT and peptides.
Absolutely right. TRT peptides and just a homeopathic way of doing it. You know, I know the methylene blue has the homeopathic as well, but I don't know. We just don't use it much anymore. So,
And so for the fighters, I mean, since they can't use things like these peptides, I mean, what do you really recommend for them that's different than 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Well, like I said, you know, just making sure that they're going to their, you know, their massages, making sure that they're hitting their therapy sessions. I do like my guys to make sure that they're hitting like the stretch lab or things like that, getting that because that's huge, which personally I feel I should probably start myself.
Stretching is the most underutilized form of exercise for all of us. 100%.
I'll tell you what, all of us wouldn't be feeling injured or old if we all stretched more.
Yeah.
Really, it's the way it is. And I'm guilty of not stretching enough, but you know, stretching is the key, man. That would eliminate a lot of injuries because you're limber.
Totally.
You're not tightened up. You're keeping your muscles activated. You know, a lot of muscles shut down. They don't work anymore. Yeah. The other ones start taking over and things like that. But I have them do it that way, you know? So, you know, and if they ended up having a grueling camp and a grueling fight, we do a couple of extra things. But other than that, it's pretty basic. It's nothing crazy. Yeah. So. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's the wellness is what it's about because you're not going to fight long if you don't have it.
Yeah. How much time do you spend talking with your athletes about post-career?
A lot.
Okay.
And that is you know, I guess that could be one of my goals. That is definitely one of my focuses. Like I have 3 of my old retired fighters, not old, I don't want to say, but retired fighters that are now coaches in my gym. So like I have certain goals where I would love to have 2, 3, maybe even 4 more facilities that I have my ex-fighters running. Yeah. So they have something after fighting. I preach it big time. Yeah. I'm not much of a social media guy. I just can't stand it. But my fighters and stuff like that you have to have it. Yeah. You know, and even I understand that. I have to have it, you know, but I push that because I was like, you guys need to build your brand. Can't just be a fighter. You need to make yourself stand out, make yourself sellable, make yourself marketable, make people want to approach you, make people remember you, because those are the type of things that will give you a living past fighting. Yeah. You know, and a lot of these guys, when they stop fighting, that identity loss is drastic. Yeah. Very, very much so. Yeah. I mean, you see just how somebody just retires for 50 years. It's rough on them. Yep. But the fighting is different because everybody knew what they did. Everybody knew who they were, and they're just not that anymore. Right. So they lose that identity. And when they lose that, man, sometimes you can lose somebody. Totally. You really can. So that is always one of my goals, is to make sure that my fighters are good after their career. Yeah. Because I can't coach forever. Yeah. You know, I mean, like I said, I get beat down every day, and it's like, I mean, I've got plenty of years left, but it ain't going to be forever. And I got to make sure that I have somebody doing that. Right. And I have somebody that I can trust and that knows my stuff and everything else. So it all kind of just builds up together. Yeah. Because, man, I mean, I think that's the thing is, and from my perspective, a lot of what can help with that is
having some type of belief beyond yourself, like knowing that there's something greater, more powerful, and more meaningful and purposeful beyond anything that I could ever do as an individual. Because I think every athlete goes through that. You talk about that identity loss. And that's one thing I talk to a lot when I go to college campuses and talk to student athletes. That's one of the things I talk a lot about is you are about to not be an athlete anymore.
Yeah.
You're at a much different place than when you were a high school athlete about to go into college. Now you're a college athlete, and 9 out of 10 of you, if not much higher than that, are about to not be athletes in the next 2-3 years.
Exactly right.
You have to have an identity that expands beyond just you're a basketball player, you're a volleyball, you're whatever, you're a fighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to know that you're doing that for a reason that extends beyond just that's all I am.
Yeah. You have to, because it's short-lived. You've heard me say that many times. And, and if a lot of these guys like to get these sponsors to just roll them in when they really don't have anything in common with them, not really anything they can collab with, anything like that. They're just a sponsor. I tell these guys, you got to get something that collabs with you, something you would love to represent, something that represents you.
Yeah.
So when you guys find those type of sponsors, those are the ones that stick with you. Those are the ones you're kind of like the face of their company and this and that. And those are the ones that take care of you after you've kind of lost your identity, I should say.
Yep.
But with losing your identity, it only becomes minimal now.
Yeah.
It's not a full loss. You're still involved. You're still coaching. You're still going to fights. You're still watching fighters win. You're still getting that rush, man.
Yeah.
Like jumping out of a plane. It's a rush.
It is a rush for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, what would you say is your favorite? I mean, we've gotten into a lot of details on mindset perspective and what makes athletes great and recovery, all types of fun stuff. What would you say is your favorite thing about your job?
Man, what's crazy is I probably have 50 favorite things about my job because it's something I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And it's my passion.
Yep.
Watching people succeed and overcome all odds is by far my favorite thing about my job.
Yeah.
And really, it doesn't even come down to the fighters.
Yeah.
It's my members that come in at night.
Yeah.
Looking for something, who needs something. Kid's been bullied at school his whole life. This person's losing their confidence. This person wants to lose weight. This one hasn't talked to somebody in 5 years. And now, every single one of those types come in and they change.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. I mean, you can get one kid that walks in the door, he trips over the carpet when he walks in.
Yeah.
But, 2 weeks down the road, he's now shadowing. He's got some footwork. He's got some mobility. He's got some athleticism.
Yeah.
You got somebody that didn't talk to somebody for years because their social anxiety was so bad and this and that is now class clown, type thing, So when it comes to my job, it really is about the populace as opposed to my fighters.
Yeah.
And that's where, my focus is on my fighters, but we've kept the focus on the populace.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're the ones who really make the gym what it is.
Yeah. And what I hear you saying is your favorite part of your job is getting people to believe in themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it is super sad how many people don't.
Yeah.
Just because of one word, one diss, somebody talks smack to them one day, or
one mistake.
Exactly right.
One
has
failure.
Totally shattered everything that they've ever thought or wanted.
Yeah.
And we just reinstall that. That's my favorite thing about my job because I see it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day there's something like, man, look at this. I just sit back and I watch.
Yeah.
To see how much people have changed.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like, honestly, I love that answer, man. I'm glad you said that because of all the coaches that I get to talk to, the ones that really, because there's coaches that are good coaches at their sport.
Yes, absolutely.
And they get their athletes to be good at that sport. But the coaches that I admire the most and the ones that I want to be around the most have that sense of I'm here to help and build this person into the best version of themselves for the long term.
Yes, 100%.
And because that's where your passion lies. It's so much, you do it through fighting, which is the most intense of all the sports.
Yeah.
But It is getting those people to believe in themselves to the degree of which they can no longer be shaken.
Absolutely. And it's not crazy. It's just how their life changes.
Yeah.
Now they're the popular, and I don't mean to say it but they're the kid that's now noticed. They're the kid that is never picked on anymore. They're the kid that was picked on is now 5-0 as a boxer.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, man, they went from, geez, he can't even get off his video games to where he doesn't want to be home. He's at the gym all day.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, that's the funnest thing about my job is just in all different walks of life.
Yeah.
Little kids, male, female, grown adults, older people, they all get this sense of confidence.
Yeah.
Got to have it, man.
Yeah. And that's the biggest takeaway I'm going to take from this conversation is when you can have that confidence to believe in yourself, everything else in your life changes.
Absolutely.
It is not just, okay, now I believe in myself so I can be good at this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is, now I have this confidence and this belief in myself that allows me to go out and fully express myself in everything.
Absolutely.
And then attract all of the types of success that I want in my life.
Just your mental thinking changes.
Yeah.
The way you word stuff. The word I wish goes away.
Yeah.
Things like that, or I want. When that stuff goes away, things change.
Yeah. Because then you are, I am doing.
Exactly. The universe only recognizes certain things, man.
Yep.
And it's got a very little vocabulary.
Yep.
Got to be careful how you say it. And that's the stuff that changes.
Yeah.
Just the way they sit there, and what people don't think is just sitting there thinking, having thoughts and this and that's manifesting.
Yep.
That's all manifesting.
Yep.
We've been just taught that it's not.
Right.
It's manifesting. You got to watch the way you say it. And I'll tell you, that's the biggest thing my wife works on me with. Because, a lot of you guys get to see the nice Jake.
Yeah.
She gets to see the other side a lot, actually, her and my daughter, know. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for those two, man, I wouldn't be here because, the sacrifices that those two had to make.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a long time where there was no money to be had.
Right.
But I was going out of town all the time. I wasn't around a lot. Wasn't this, wasn't that. And they still had my back and never once doubted where I was going to end up being. So, having the support system is huge. Like my two girls, man, it's what it's about.
Yeah.
They do a good job taking care of the big fella,
Well, that's awesome, man. Jake, this has been an
incredible
conversation, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've learned a lot through this and just, it's been fun talking to you and diving into these things and
absolutely
picking your brain and really just talking about these things that are so applicable to everyone in life, regardless of whether you're a bare-knuckle fighter or not.
That's right.
You've got to have that mindset and that belief in yourself, have that support system around you. These are the things that allow you to have the foundation to then build whatever it is that you are passionate about.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Will, you're the man.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.
Yep. I'm Will Carr, and I'm here to fire you up.